My name is Zev Elias. I entered the Air Force in 1978, and the idea was to provide a scholarship for medical school. And then after medical school and after residency training, one would go on active duty to pay back their time commitment. In 1988, I went on active duty and was stationed at Lackland Air Force Base, Wilford Hall USAF Medical Center. In the interim, I was deployed to in support of Operation Desert Storm, and I separated in 1992 at the rank of major.
What drove you to medical school, first of all?
Well, my parents were Holocaust survivors. They were both nurses by training. I would go volunteer in the hospital, and I got more and more interested in hospitals.
Okay, where'd you go to college?
Swarthmore College. It was a dry town. Couldn't get any liquor in that town.
What made you choose Swarthmore?
Swarthmore. Well, I went to public high school in Philadelphia, and I decided I wanted to go to a small college. I didn't want to be swallowed up in a large school of 60,000 students.
During that time, any thoughts of military?
Not really, just medicine.
So even high school, college, military never entered your mind?
No, because, keep in mind, when I was in college, there was the Vietnam War. I mean, I remember participating in some protests for, Nixon's impeachment, not against the war specifically.
What went through your mind during that time of being on literally on the other side of the fence here?
Even then, that was kind of a popular thing to do, to protest what you didn't think was right in society in general. To be on the other side of that, the receiving end of it, so to speak, was just very strange. And I was thinking to myself, I'm just here because my government sent me here. It's not my own independent thought from a social perspective that I necessarily want to be here, but I'm there to support a mission, and I felt that was very important.
Were you feeling judgmental against them or judgmental against your past or
me?
So what was the judgment on you?
Well, I came around to a transformation, and I saw perhaps that when you protest, you may not understand the whole big picture of what's necessarily going on. You have a very small focus in terms of what you're protesting. When I was in the military, that there was a bigger picture.
Thinking back on the you that demonstrated, years ago, there was a thought of the ignorance of youth, or the ignorance, the bliss of ignorance.
Of youth, yes, absolutely. And again, it wasn't, it was not against the war. It was against Nixon. But in the end, he left. He resigned. So
right,
there was something actually to it.
What would you tell someone in the service now regarding this experience and the big picture?
That you don't necessarily have the bigger picture. You may just have a small piece of what you're doing. Again, I was in the medical field, so I didn't know. I certainly was not in the chain of command of the line officers. And, we were specifically told when I went through survival training, I went through all these different things that, you're a medical officer, your purpose there is to support the mission of the Air Force, which is to fly and fight.
Particularly on that mission too.
It's the same thing in medicine. We deal with nurses and EMTs as well. You always value someone else's experience. But at the end of that conversation, I learned to always ask, do you have any other thoughts? What do you think? And I've seen a lot of situations where, the ego of this person who's been a doctor for 3, 4, 5 years, is going to argue with a nurse who's been doing it for 25 years. And that's not smart.
Let's go back to I want to call it the call to adventure, right? What taunted you to join the military?
That it was a scholarship program, and I was looking for a way to finance my education. As we discussed earlier, when you have a goal in mind, you have to decide how are you going to get there. And the idea of borrowing that kind of money between college and medical school was just mind-boggling. I couldn't picture it. So I tried to find a way to finance my education, and so that's how I started off.